Resource mapping is a key and fundamental aspect of operational resilience. Organizations should identify and document the resources that deliver and support their critical business services. The operationally resilient firm will be expected to have a comprehensive understanding and mapping of the systems and processes that support their critical business services. This includes those over which the firm may not have direct control, many firms being involved with outsourcing and third-party service providers as well. And this identification process is what's referred to as mapping. And firms, it's important to point out, will only need to map their critical business services and not all business services. So the purpose is to ensure that mapping is complete, it's accurate, it's documented, and signed off at an appropriate level by management. Now, obviously, firms, organizations differ by size, and the key element in here is that this should not be overly delegated. The accountability needs to be held at the board level. By looking at all the stages required in providing the business service, a firm will be able to develop a clearer picture of how best to support its resilience. Mapping should allow firms to meet two key outcomes. One, most importantly, to identify their vulnerabilities. And the second point is that it enables firms to conduct their scenario testing. Mapping the critical business service, it should help identify vulnerabilities or weaknesses in the delivery of critical business services within an impact tolerance and enable firms to act to remedy these as appropriate. These vulnerabilities or weaknesses may include a lack of substitutability, high complexity, single points of failure, concentration risk, dependencies on third parties, as I mentioned before, and matters completely outside of a firm's control, such as power failures. Mapping should allow firms to test their ability to stay within impact tolerances, to design and understand the full implications of scenarios. A complete map of the relevant business services will be necessary. And it's one which firms and businesses raise frequently and struggle with. So the level of granularity required for mapping critical business services will vary between firms, and it's important to acknowledge that. The firms should map these proportionally, ensuring they're able to achieve the two outcomes I referred to before, namely identifying vulnerabilities and the ability to conduct scenario testing. The policy statement issued by the UK regulator, it's included a transitional provision allowing firms to carry out their mapping by the 31st of March 2022 to a level of sophistication necessary to identify their critical business service and to set impact tolerances and identify vulnerabilities in their operational resilience. It's important to note, though, that the firms then have a 3-year period up to the 31st of March 2025 where they'll continue performing mapping with a view to remain within impact tolerances for each critical business service. So the firms are required to develop and evolve their mapping exercises over a period of time. The ultimate objective of the organisation will be to map to a level of granularity that is sufficient to identify people, the process, technology, facilities and information that supports the operations of those critical business services. Organisations are required to carry out the mapping exercise in such a way that it provides a clear picture of how best to support its resilience. If the mapping exercise does not provide this outcome, it's unlikely that the methodology used does not align with the organization's business size, scale, or complexity. And again, a key element which is coming to the fore as many organizations utilize BPO services, are heavily operating within the cloud. So it's important to recognize this provision. Firms are required to accurately map any relationship outsourced to an external third party, or indeed these days often there is a fourth party, fifth party. If the firm has outsourced, it still needs to be able to understand the potential vulnerability by mapping where those vulnerabilities exist.